Nothing broke, nothing exploded, but something devastating happened. Invisible forces dismantled economies without a single shot fired. People lost homes, jobs, and savings, while elites celebrated profits. This collapse wasn't chaos. It followed a pattern. It was the price the masses paid so the few could gain. This is a silent war fought with financial weapons instead of guns. The battlefield is the economy, and the casualties are ordinary people. The mystery is why collapses enrich those at the top. What if the system is designed to do exactly that? Today we uncover the truth behind that silent war. To understand this system, we must look at who holds financial power. Banks and central banks control money creation and credit distribution. Governments rely on these institutions for borrowing and economic stability. Over decades, power consolidated into fewer financial hands. When a small group controls credit, they control economic destiny. They decide who prospers and who suffers from financial decisions. Wealthy insiders understand the levers and influence outcomes. The public only sees the aftermath, not the hidden mechanics. This imbalance sets the stage for manipulation and collapse. The silent war begins long before anyone notices the damage. The origins trace back to the creation of modern banking systems. Banks do not just store money, they multiply it through lending. Fractional reserve banking allows lending far beyond deposits. This creates money out of loans, inflating the money supply. As economies grew, so did reliance on credit for progress. Governments borrowed more to fund wars and infrastructure. Corporations borrowed to expand production and global trade. Consumers borrowed to achieve homeownership and lifestyle dreams. This dependence on debt made growth look normal and necessary. But with more borrowing came greater fragility and risk. A shock in any sector could ripple across the entire system. Financial institutions became deeply interconnected over time. This interconnectedness meant one failure could trigger many. The system grew larger, more complex, and easier to destabilize. The groundwork for future crises was quietly constructed. During economic booms, credit flowed freely everywhere. Housing markets expanded rapidly with easy mortgage lending. Businesses used leverage to accelerate their growth strategies. Governments justified greater borrowing as prosperity increased. Everyone believed the upward trend would continue forever. But hidden beneath the growth was dangerous overexposure. Debt levels rose far faster than real economic productivity. Financial institutions took excessive risks for higher returns. Regulations failed to keep up with innovation in finance. Investors bet on speculative assets instead of real value. The system became a tower built on promises instead of stability. Bubbles formed in housing, stocks, and global markets. Warnings were ignored because profits were high and rising. The silent war intensified as leverage reached its peak. Only one trigger was needed to bring everything crashing down. That trigger hit in the era leading to the Great Depression. Thousands of American banks collapsed in just a few years. Entire communities watched their life savings disappear overnight. Employment soared, and businesses shut their doors permanently. The nation realized its prosperity was built on fragile debt. Decades later, history repeated with the 2008 financial crisis. Reckless mortgage lending and inflated housing prices backfired. Major financial institutions teetered on the edge of collapse. Credit markets froze, halting global economic activity. Families lost homes while financial giants demanded rescue. The greatest losses fell on those least responsible. Meanwhile, the architects of the disaster negotiated bailouts. Collapse transferred wealth from the public to private hands. Crises proved that the system punishes the many for the few. Breaking points expose how power protects itself at all cost. Ordinary workers suffered the brunt of every economic collapse. Jobs disappeared faster than any government response could help. Foreclosures forced families into homelessness and debt. Retirement funds crashed, destroying lifelong financial planning. Poverty and despair spread through communities without power. Yet financial elites seized opportunities in the chaos. They bought distressed assets at historic discounts. Wealth concentration accelerated rapidly during each crisis. The fallout created misery for millions, yet fortune for a few. The war's winners and losers became impossible to ignore. Leaders promised reform after every devastating collapse. Regulators claimed they would strengthen the financial system. But new rules always left loopholes for the well-connected. Banks became even bigger through mergers and bailouts. Central banks gained greater control over monetary policy. Debt burdens shifted to taxpayers through austerity measures. Ordinary citizens financed the rescue of massive institutions. The root causes remained untouched beneath political speeches. The system was patched but left fundamentally flawed. These failed fixes allowed the silent war to continue unnoticed. Today, those patterns repeat in different forms. Global debt levels have reached the highest in history. Inequality continues to widen every year around the world. Wealth of the richest individuals grows during downturns. Meanwhile, ordinary households struggle with rising costs of living. Bank failures still occur and threaten economic stability. New financial tools hide risks behind layers of complexity. Governments still rush to save big institutions first. The silent war has simply upgraded its methods. History is repeating because the system never changed. We learn that debt and leverage create fragile economies. Economic disasters always redistribute wealth upward, not downward. Fixes designed to protect the public often protect elites instead. The silent financial war is ongoing and demands public awareness.